1,000 years later. Welcome back, I guess. Since I failed to escape the cycle once again, I'm back to best myself through honing the art of telekinesis. Touching is sinful, after all. The rules of the challenge are much simpler than the others I've done. If you haven't watched those, I would highly recommend it. The only way I can deal damage to enemies is through telekinesis. That means I can't directly stab, slash, bludgeon, or throw anything at enemies to hurt them. I start with the Mind Sorcerer origin, and I'll also be playing on hard mode with permadeath because I'm better. I can see myself having a lot of fun with this. Without further ado, let's begin. Already, this run is going to be way different. While I can use weapons right off the bat, they're all going to be pretty anemic in actual combat. This might actually be worse than nothing. Most of my kills will end up being lucky strikes to the head or neck. Without the precise, repeatable strikes of an actually held weapon, I'll have to play every encounter slow and smart. When all else fails, I can just run away. My genius plan to avoid this encounter didn't work, and now I'm trapped. No choice but to make a break for it. I left the sword behind, so I ended up having to beat this person to death with a crystal. Keeping my distance will prove to be a lifesaver this run. Since every weapon is so easily lost, scavenging will be a big part of this as well. Unlike some of the past runs, I'll need to save up my crystals for abilities. You'll see later. The shop will be useful, but for now, I can't afford anything. Lesson number 1. Try not to aggro too many enemies at once. Because my attacks are so slow and predictable, any enemy with a shield will be nearly invulnerable unless I can manage to stagger them or get a lucky one-shot. Oh, that worked! Yes. All this would imply that stealth should be my ally, but since telekinesis is so imprecise, it's really easy to completely whiff and get stuck in a sticky situation. Here's how long it takes to kill one shield guy with no armor. Seriously, I'm surprised I didn't lose more runs like this. There we go. Yeah, you don't mind the floating dagger. Here's where stealth with telekinesis really shines. Much better. Ay. Dude, I'm actually almost dead. Because I have no direct combat abilities yet, there's no way for me to deal with enemies electrocuting me, and in the panic, I somehow lost my weapon too. With no other option, I had to improvise. Don't be zapping me, dude. Eventually, I found something better. Here's a weapon. Disarming enemies would also be critical, as I switched from getting up in your face to backing away, right where I want them. Engaging enemies at a distance is a fitting theme for a telekinesis-only challenge. I experimented with this big rake, but it was so big and so dull that I had trouble swinging it hard enough to even stagger them. These pickaxes were much sharper and easier to handle, but they were still too slow to do much damage. They were good at blocking lightning, though. Yes. There we go. There we go. Kill confirmed. Remember, this is still only the tutorial. If I want to survive, I need to pay another visit to the Baron. So right away I'm gonna go to the Baron, sell all my stuff. Hopefully he's got something good for me, because I don't think I'm surviving long with what I've got right now. Yeah, and I'll pick up one of these. This will be required. With my combat style being dominated by endurance, a way to heal in between skirmishes will be my saving grace. It may look like I'm deftly disarming my foe here, but in reality I'm just kind of waving my dagger in their general direction. Especially in motion, it's nearly impossible to make precise stabs and slashes with just telekinesis. Yes! Perfect. Three chances to get a headshot instead of just one, and I can grab it with both at the same time. Really? Still trying to make this work? Yeah, that's about as effective as I would have expected. Hi. Lesson number 2. Never, and I mean never, disregard lesson 1.
Don't be zapping me, dude.
After running away, I assumed I lost that huge group, but then...
No, please! Have mercy!
Since I had no way of defending myself up close, it was impossible to just focus on one enemy at a time without opening myself up to flanking and poking.
Oh, finally. Nope, 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 nope. Yes. 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 Oh my fucking god.
I had a few close calls, and at a few points my run almost came to an end, but through some smart maneuvering and kiting of enemies outside their melee range, I eventually prevailed.
Yes. Oh my fucking god.
This is just the first level with completely unarmored enemies. I was in for a rough ride. Looking around, a short sword caught my eye. I barely couldn't afford it,
Beautiful sword there.
so I had to sell my only other weapon.
To be honest with you, I would have sold that for less.
Are you Okay.
This sword was light enough and sharp enough to do some real damage without being too cumbersome to use. On the magical front, Telespin and Telethrow would end up being surprisingly underwhelming. They had their uses, but I should have just saved the crystals.
And I am about to throw up, so I'm gonna come back later.
At first, Telespin was shredding through these enemies, definitely an improvement, but as soon as armor is added to the picture, it does little more than tickle damage. Already, its effectiveness is limited by how often the sword gets stuck, both in enemies and in the environment. It still took some time to kill a single enemy, so I was still vulnerable to large numbers, but with enough patience, any obstacle can be overcome.
Yeah, this is still gonna be a problem.
The Dalgarian dungeons aren't too much different, but the golem is something else. 1. Telekinesis is very imprecise. 2. Spinning objects don't carry a lot of momentum as far as the game is concerned. 3. Heavy objects are harder to swing with telekinesis. And 4. Golem crystals need strong, blunt, momentum-driven attacks to break.
Oh, fuck! Oh my fucking god.
All of this combined means that golems suddenly take 10 times longer to kill, and are by extension 10 times harder. For now though, the fight is doable, if a bit tedious.
Hello, old friend. This time, you're coming with me. Finally. Hopefully it'll get easier from here.
Now that I have the next tier of Mind Crystal, I can slow time. On its own this isn't useful. What it unlocks is what I'm after.
This is gonna save my ass, probably, because I can just grab that out of the air. With telekinesis. Alright.
In the shop, I'm on the lookout for a hammer. The idea is that blunt force will be more effective at breaking crystals and knocking down enemies. This wouldn't pan out though, for reasons that I'll explain soon. Yeah, take a close look at how that hammer is moving. Because its axis of rotation is so close to the heavy hammerhead, 99% of the time the handle smacks harmlessly on their tender hind. Even when it does knock them down, it does so little damage that they just get back up. At this rate, I might kill them faster by waiting for them to die of old age. What a ripoff.
You know what? This is working surprisingly effective as a means to knock them down. Perfect.
The downside of fighting a golem by spinning a long-handled weapon is that if you miss the crystal, your weapon will gain traction and start walking its way around the golem's body. As the difficulty of the golem fight increases, this will get more and more annoying. Up until now, the only way I've been able to deal with enemies was by grabbing objects and gingerly bonking them across the face. Not very effective at all, especially against armor. With Marionette, I can grab the enemies directly instead.
Yes.
Here's where my power truly starts to grow. Now that I can deal damage with effectively my bare hands, I don't really need traditional weapons. But a small bladed sword could still come in handy for stealth kills. I also pick up a leather tunic and helmet for some extra survivability.
There we go.
Now that I have more options at my disposal, I can take a more aggressive playstyle. Telegrappling will become my super weapon.
All the power at my fingertips.
The strategy goes like this. Knock someone down with a prop or by grabbing them, then use their limp body as a wrecking ball to knock everyone else down. Once I have them in a favorable position, I can repeatedly launch them up and slam them into the ground to deal with them. If I'm careful with my launches, I can even juggle. Still, it's easy to get overwhelmed.
I expected that to be a little bit easier, but I guess I overestimated my abilities. Huh.
Since the golem can't be telegrabbed, it's just as tedious as ever. Except this time it has a taser. Fun!
This is gonna be next.
This time I'm beefing up with body. It's always worthwhile to diversify your portfolio. Skulker and Force Choke are good passive abilities to pick up. The most game-changing ability, though, will be Rip and Tear. This will turn my already powerful grappling technique into an unstoppable tool of carnage. Not yet, though. Your time will come. With Skulker, sneaking around an encounter becomes an actually viable option, unlike in my previous challenges.
Boom.
It's at this point that I realize the best strategy with this hammer is to smoothly accelerate it instead of spinning it wildly. Somehow, with Telespin, it was even more infuriating than just clumsily swinging it around.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Did you know that this random skull can break crystals?
Yeah.
If you've beaten Blade and Sorcery, you know what's coming next. Either that, or you've watched my other 2 challenge videos. Now is the time to pull out all the stops. Remember what I said about permadeath? Well, Second Wind basically nullifies that. Fly Kick is a must-have for mobility. Rip and Tear is almost upon us. Here I trade in my hammer for a smaller mace. This one actually hits stuff with the operating end when you spin it.
Hold back.
All seemed well, but the game had other plans for me.
I've never seen puddles that look quite like that. Why is it Z fighting like that even? Okay, I can't even look at that. Okay.
First it tries to kill me in-game, now it's trying to kill me in real life.
A new, novel kind of obstacle.
For whatever reason, I chose to hold off on getting the Rip and Tear upgrade, and in my haste, had forgotten it before the ambush. All the enemies will be max level and swarm me all at once, giving me no room to breathe and countering my range strats. I guess it fits in with the plot, but come on, I'm not RPing here. No excuses.
So veiny. What the fuck?
I guess this will be extra challenging. Phew. The hard part is done. Now my true ability is unleashed.
Rip and tear.
Yes. Yes. Die, die, die! All who oppose me shall bend to my supreme power. God himself melts before my might. I am invincible.
Fucking balls, bullshit.
Let's see how the tower treats me now that I'm stronger and know all of its little tricks. We meet again for the final time. If I grab the sword with telekinesis, there's no way it can shock me and get me in its tractor beam. Aha! Yes! The ultimate weapon is mine! With this, I would be— Ow! What the hell? How did it— No. No! Let me go this instant. Ultimate power was almost mine!
Have I really failed again? The power of apples saves the day. But wait, could it be? I still have one trick left up my sleeve. Apple. 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 I'd like to take a moment to thank the more than 5,000 people who subscribed to my channel in the past few months. These videos take a ton of time and effort to make. A like and subscribe would mean the world to me. This is the challenge I would recommend doing the most. It underpowers you in the early game just enough to force you to improvise and plan ahead, while still granting overwhelming power at the end. You can still experiment with weapons and combat styles, and these styles evolve as you gain more skills. Dynamic! That being said, I think this will be my last Blade and Sorcery challenge video. I've just about milked this idea dry. In the meantime, more varied videos are on the way. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!